Hey everyone, welcome back to PintheQ podcast. We are in North Plainfield once again, but this time we're doing something a little different, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
So we are in the North Plainfield Firemen's Exempt Association's home.
North Plainfield Exempt Firemen's Hall.
Okay, but it feels like home.
Feels like home.
Yeah, especially
if home had no heat.
if home had no heat, yes. So here we are, episode 12. Glad to have the captain aboard. We're going to be talking about some pretty cool stuff. Beforehand, we got a cool tour of the museum, and this place is awesome.
It is.
And my goal is, episode 12, is that we get some help from some viewers to bring this place back together. I mean, this is a really neat place.
It is. It's like walking back in time.
It really is.
Literally like rotary phones and black and white TV. It's all here in the North Plainfield Exempt Firemen's Hall.
It's great. And you might even see our breath here. So if you think we're lying and we're just looking for funds for cookies, you'll see our breath and you'll know that this is legit. And we have a little space heater here, which seems to be working. At least our knees are warm,
Yep.
if nothing else. So, Cap, why don't you tell us who you are?
All right. Well, Rob Beattie. I'm a captain in North Plainfield. Just finishing up my 20th year.
Good for you.
I'll start 21 in March. Grew up here, North Plainfield. My dad was a fireman in North Plainfield.
Oh, good.
He worked 20 years before he retired in 88, 89.
Okay.
And that's what got me into it. You know, I grew up. Dad was a fireman, and it's
that's awesome.
Coolest thing in the world. And kind of always wanted to be that, but did look other ways and look into other jobs and things like that. And where I grew up in North Plainfield, I grew up all the way on the west end of town. I was one block away from Rock, which is the border, and then on the other side of Rock Avenue is Greenbrook.
Okay, yes.
And Greenbrook had a junior fireman's program, so you could join there when you were 16. And I had a friend that was involved with that, and
right.
They had a softball team, and it looked like fun. So I joined the.
That's great.
I joined as a junior.
Okay.
And I never looked back. It was a great deal. There were a couple of older guys in the fire company who took on the junior program.
Okay.
Were just fantastic role models.
Yeah.
You know? A couple of career guys that worked elsewhere. There was a couple of guys that were just dedicated volunteer firemen there, and there was a group, 6 or 7 of us that were juniors, and it was just a great experience. I got a lot of learned a lot of life lessons there.
Oh yeah.
And my dad, who I sensed that he was he kind of really was digging what I was doing, trying to look into the fire service and stuff. Never pushed.
Really?
Never tried to talk me out of it. Never tried to push me into it. It was just really cool, He
kind of let you set your own path.
He did, and still does.
Oh, good.
He really does. But yeah, that's where I got started, and they were able to send us to fire school, to a fire academy before we turned 18. So we were in the fire academy, Fire One.
Which one? Where'd you go?
Somerset County.
Oh,
we went to Somerset County.
Great.
In 1988, whatever it was, and we were in the annex building of the Somerset County Jail.
Cool.
That's where fire classes were.
Yeah,
and,
a lot different then, right?
It was a lot different then. But again, it was a great education. It was a great experience, and
you know what, Cap? I like what you said about it also gave you some life lessons, because when you're 14, 15, 16 years old, you're impressionable as hell.
Yeah.
So to get good influences like people in the fire service that kind of teach you things outside of the fire department.
Yeah, I was always very fortunate, with the company I was in. Even when I got my driver's license, my first real part-time job when I was still in high school, I worked at a car dealership. So I was 17 years old.
Right.
And the people I'm working with had real life responsibilities. They had mortgages, and they had families, and they had things to worry about, like really things to worry about. And I don't know why I was paying attention. I don't know what I just did. I took a lot of that stuff in. I developed a work ethic that I still think I have today.
That's great.
But
that's great.
Yeah, it was really great. And that job I got at the car dealership was because one of the guys in the volunteer fire company was working there as a mechanic, and they needed a guy in the lot to change license plates and move cars around, and
It's always how it works, right?
Yeah.
As you know, somebody knows somebody
Yep.
that knows somebody.
Yep, I got the job on a Thursday, and I told in my interview, I told them with quite a bit of confidence I could drive a stick, and I didn't have a clue. And on Saturday, one of the guys in the fire company taught me to drive a stick in the brush truck. So,
That's great.
You know, and off to work I went.
That's great. And that you know, every episode I say it, and it's so true. Like, the people in the fire service are not, you know, they say, you know, brotherhood, sisterhood. It's so true, man. Everyone's out to help each other out. And listen, we definitely have our moments, right? But at the end of the day, everyone really is there to help each other.
Yeah.
So, so you went to the fire academy in Somerset County, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then you stayed on that volunteer company for a little bit?
Yeah, I stayed with Greenberg for a little while, and I came over to North Plainfield and joined as a callman after my dad retired. So I joined as a callman in '91.
What was it called, man?
A callman in North Plainfield is the volunteers.
Okay.
The contingent of volunteers. They're called callmen.
Do you still have that today?
Yep.
No kidding.
Yeah, we still have a contingent of volunteers, and they're still called the call force or callmen.
No kidding.
And
So were they supplement augmented patrol shifts? Or?
yeah, they do. You know, they're line firefighters. They don't have
Okay.
any officer positions in the call force. They don't drive or operate the apparatus.
Okay.
You know, when I joined the call force, it was very competitive. Not to get on, there was space to get on, but
Right.
it was a stepping stone. It was guys who wanted to, you know, find that career position.
Oh, that's cool.
But at the same time, there was some camaraderie. You know, there was one of the guys that was on the call force when I joined is now our deputy chief.
Oh,
You know,
cool.
we competed for the job back then.
That's great.
Another guy that was a callman when I joined is a captain in Charlotte, North Carolina, after he worked 6 or 7 years here in North Plainfield.
Very cool.
Still good friends, you know, still,
You guys keep in touch?
still one of my best friends, you know.
So, he's your best friend?
Yeah,
So
sure.
call him out. Who is it?
It's Brian Ickes, Captain Ickes in Charlotte, North
All
Carolina.
right, cool. He better watch this episode and check you
Make
out.
sure I send him the link.
That's great.
Yeah, and it's, but that's what it is, you know, I believe if you surround yourself with like-minded people, and you
Right.
have common interests and similar core values, not the same, and nobody has, you know, we're not all, you know, cookie cutters.
Right. We're not robots.
But if you have similar interests and core values, and even if it is a little competitive, that's good too.
That's good though. Competitive. You got to be competitive in this job. You have to be.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's what builds us, makes us grow, makes us better.
Yep, I
So
agree.
yeah. So then you landed your dream job in North Plainfield.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. I joined, joined the call force, and it was a long stretch before I got hired. Had some, you know, pretty cool jobs in between. Got married, you know, bought a house, and then I got the job, and went from there.
Take me back to when you first got on the job in North Plainfield. Tell me what you're feeling.
Well, it's a lot of mixed emotions, and I was a callman. I was a callman in North Plainfield, so I'm a North Plainfield firefighter already.
Right.
You know, and day one as a paid guy was not, you know, that was all out the window. Today's your first day, and it was, you know, that was an impression that was made upon me early on.
Right.
And I didn't appreciate it then. I appreciate it now.
Explain that.
So I felt like I wasn't like in a big department where you walk into a different station where nobody knew you or anything like
Right.
that. These are all guys that, you know, I've known since I joined the department. Some of these guys worked with my dad, knew me since I was a little kid, and their effort was to preserve the culture of the department.
I love that.
You know, uphold their standards and make sure they were setting me up to fulfill their needs.
Good.
In the department. And
You have to respect that.
yeah,
You
I
know?
mean, like I said, at the time, you know,
You're like thinking, this is ridiculous. I've already been here.
Exactly.
I know everybody. Why am I doing this?
yeah,
Right.
yeah. But you know, hindsight is always 20/20, and I really did appreciate that. you
Good.
know, looking back and still do.
And that speaks volumes for your company. You know that.
Yeah.
I mean, as an
Sure.
outsider, not knowing anything about your company outside of what Reedman told me, and being involved in your house and the way everybody brought me in like family, I'll always treasure that. I mean, that's the great thing about what I'm doing. I meet so many cool people.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that you're telling me that, you know, here you are involved with them, and then they're like, yeah, no, today's your first day.
Today's day one.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, and it's important, and it's I think it's the same in a lot of firehouses you go to and fire departments you go to. It's part of the culture,
Absolutely.
and sometimes it's not always well received, and sometimes it just takes a little while to set in and be what it is. And you know, the hall that we're sitting in here now it's history.
Right.
You know, so we get some younger guys that come in, they come into the department. Maybe they didn't come from our call force. Maybe they came from someplace else. This is an important trip for them. We try to get them over here early on.
They absolutely should.
Take a look around.
Right.
This is it. And, they look at these pictures, and we have some pictures in headquarters and some pictures here of even the volunteer department before we had the paid side of it.
Okay.
And the early career guys, and you can see that the uniforms haven't changed that much. The badges still look the same. Somebody wore this badge before you did. You're going to wear it for a good long time, and somebody's going to wear it after you. What history are you going to do?
Right. What are you going to do with your time?
Yeah, and history is an important thing. I don't want to live in the past, but I think you have to respect it. You have to understand it a little bit.
Right.
You have to identify where we went wrong in the past.
Absolutely, yeah.
What we were doing right.
Learn from our mistakes.
Going forward.
Right.
So, in the firehouse, we still have the station journal. And one of the firemen on duty is assigned to sit at the desk. We don't sit house watch like we did back in the day, but
right.
Somebody still has to keep the house journal. There's roll call, there's the daily activities, the alarms are still written in red, and
that's cool. And that's been going on for
forever.
Right?
Forever. So like it was told to me, I tried to pass it on, is you're going to sit down there and you may think it's a chore,
right?
But you are absolutely, literally writing the history of the fire department.
And that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's an awesome responsibility too.
You go back into an old station ledger and read. You're reading the history of the department.
And you know what's cool about that? When that firefighter turns 60, 70 years old, right, and he has his grandkids and he wants to come by the firehouse, he can literally go to that journal and find his name.
Yeah.
That's awesome, right?
Yep. I had those moments going through the old journals and finding my dad's name in the roll call.
Very cool.
Stuff like that. It's very cool.
And that's just what I was talking about. That's the part of this job that's so amazing is our traditions and our culture and being able to harness that is huge, especially for these new guys coming in, because that's what, we talked about this stuff, and I told you, how important it is for our new firefighters that are coming in now to harness this. This isn't just a job, if your career or a volunteer, whatever it is, it's a calling almost, and there's so many people that start this and realize it's not for them, and they move on. And I don't have a problem with that. I almost rather it be that way,
Yeah, if it's you don't want to stay here for the wrong reasons,
right?
And you really can't. That gets kind of flushed out early on.
What are some of your frustrations as a career captain now? And I don't just mean in your company. I just mean the things you're seeing. Because we talked about, you say you watch Instagram, you see a couple different things going on right now. As a captain in a career house, what are some of your frustrations that you see?
Well, one of the main frustrations is I see, myself, and I want to be that 20-something new fireman again. I love my job. I love being in the position I'm in. Right. And it's not because of authority or some perceived power or anything like that. It's just being part of a team and being part of the coordinating that team. I don't think I never consider that the people on my shift work for me. They work with me, and I work with them. That's so great. And that's what it's about. But the frustration is looking back and saying, "Man, I wish I was riding backwards again for a little bit. I wasn't as I don't want to say jaded, but conditioned for what I'm doing. So I fight. I fight hard to stay open-minded and try to listen and try to learn new things and not just be set in my ways. So I want more new ideas coming in, and North Plainfield's good like that. We have a lot of people from a lot of different areas that are coming in with new ideas, and let's try them, let's work on them. And I would offer the same advice to anybody in a leadership position in any other department, but to those guys that are bringing those new ideas into their organizations, to them I would say, take the time to learn the way your organization is doing it now.
First, and then make suggestions, right?
Yeah, because you never know. Right. You have to be open. If you may be the new guy with the new ideas, but you got to be open to the old stuff too. Yeah. It's a balance. Everything in moderation. It's got to kind of work together.
That's a great point, Cap. And I like the fact that your current chief is so progressive. He gets it, and it's good to see that progression, and that he allows for new ideas. Because listen, let's face it, there's some agencies out there where the chief's like, yeah, no, thanks. We've been doing it like this since the 20s. We're not changing. This is the way it is, and and I don't want to hear your ideas. Listen, it's a reality. There's some administrators out there, and there's some some command staff out there that just don't want new ideas or don't want to. But you have to empower your people. I think that's extremely important. I'm glad you said that, because I agree. They could be on the company 6 months and have a great idea,
Yep.
and that may be some kind of like new method that we can do to change things that makes things even better or more efficient. And have we not given them a voice?
Yep.
But again, it's a fine balance, because when you're new, you gotta kind of keep it on the down low a little bit until you get more comfortable, or at least when someone asks you, then you can offer that information.
Yep. And there's ways of getting things done.
Right.
One of the greatest benefits, and one of the things I saw when I was looking at promotion, or looking towards, or deciding if that's something I wanted to pursue, was to be in a position to affect positive change.
Yes.
It
Yes.
wasn't, and that was it.
I gotta tell you, I'm already loving this episode.
I've been
I'm already loving it, man. The things you're saying are great.
I've been fortunate. I've been able to do that. I've been able to have some influence in making some positive changes.
Good.
And these aren't things I just arrived at myself.
Right.
I'm not the smartest kid in the room. I've had some great mentors. I've had some really great role models. I've seen some things go awry, and put that away and say, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to steer away from that.
Right.
And I've fallen in some pitfalls. I've had some bumps in the road, and man, I guess tough.
Yeah.
It's tough, but you pick it up and you learn from it, and you hope you don't do it again.
Yeah.
So, but it's that's the way it is.
Well, you're not going to learn unless you're not going to learn, and I say this all the time. Especially new guys coming in, girls. You're not going to learn unless you fall on your face a few times. You fall on your face a few times, you get up, you dust yourself off, and you keep driving on.
Yeah.
It's never going to work if you don't try, right?
Yeah. I agree.
So, Cap, tell me your most rewarding experience so far in the fire service. There's probably a lot, right?
Yeah, there are lots, and I know, getting ready to do this, I was, you gave me an idea of some of the questions you're going to be asking, and trying to think, think back, but rewarding, I think the most rewarding aspect for me in my career is just seeing people that I've either had the opportunity to help in the fire service succeed, people that I care about, whether it be in the fire service or outside of the fire service, that something associated with the fire service led to some success for them.
Great.
I just, I think that, I don't want to sound corny or cheesy or anything like that, but if the people I care about are happy, I mean, that's really what I want. So, you guys join, I have the position in the Firehouse to work with the call force, work with the contingent of volunteers who, train them. Sometimes you have to run the call force drills, or they get assigned to your platoon when they join the department to get acclimated to the department.
Okay.
Things like that. We're helping through, if they join our department and we're sending them to fire school, help them get through fire school.
Bro, you're cultivating others.
Yeah, like a mentor type project, right?
Yeah.
To see them succeed, to see them, go to their first fire, man, see if,
that's awesome.
Catch their first job, first do or something like that, and you're living through them. You remember that first experience of your own, and you're sharing that with them. I mean, that's the most rewarding thing is
I love it.
Seeing those guys that succeed.
And believe me, whether they tell you or not, what you're doing for them, they'll never forget that. I never forgot when I was 16, 15, 16 years old, the guys that were helping me come up. I remember all those things, and so it's cool. They'll definitely remember the fact that they're volunteering their time for one, and then you're helping them, learn the craft, which is a good thing. Yeah. And some of those will move on to be career guys somewhere or volunteer somewhere else.
Yep. Yeah. They've had a couple, guys have come through that have gone on to, maybe from the outside looking in, you're looking at like they moved on to bigger and better things, and it doesn't matter. It's the same job.
It absolutely is. The package is just different.
Yeah, as long as they're happy where they are and happy doing what they're doing.
Absolutely.
That's good for me. I'm cool with that.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to talk about this place. Tell me about this place.
The hall has been here forever, or as long as I can remember.
So when your dad was on the Firehouse,
Yeah, my dad was in the fire
this
department.
thing was like thriving.
The organization existed. They had a social membership, and so not everybody in the fire department was a member of the Exempt Hall,
Okay.
of the Exempts, and not everybody from the Exempts was a member of the fire department. They're really two different organizations, but
Right.
with similar,
How many,
fundamental values.
if you don't know, it's fine. But how many guys on the career staff are actually members here now? Current members?
None.
Wow.
Oh, I'm sorry. I take that back. There are some guys that are on the rolls as membership, but the
Okay.
membership, the organization itself isn't really active.
Okay.
You know.
So that's what we're doing. We're gonna try to rebuild it.
Yeah, we do have a couple of guys. So I take that back. We do have a couple of guys that are on the roster.
Okay.
On the books, that want to see this place, get
Right.
back on its feet, and it's a heavy lift, right?
Yeah. Because you look around and this obviously didn't happen overnight,
No.
right? So I mean, there's all kinds of there's all type of things that people brought in here. Trophies upon trophies upon trophies and gear and equipment, and
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Yeah, and I feel I'm not one of the guys that's on the roster. I'm not
Okay.
I'm not actually a member of the Exempt Association, but I feel compelled to do something to try to preserve it.
Okay.
Whether it's reestablished or breathe new life into the Exempt Association itself, or just stabilize this building, repurpose it for the fire service or for public service.
Right.
I mean, we have a venue right here, and outside, you're in the middle of North Plainfield. I mean, you're
Yeah, like
literally
right in the heart.
in the middle of North Plainfield.
Right.
And
It's busy out there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could have, this could be a venue for continuing education. We could host the EMT CEU classes here someday. We
Right.
could have, some seminars, and this museum, we could open it up for
Absolutely.
public education for
Absolutely.
kids during fire prevention. There's a lot of potential here.
I'd love to see like that front door eventually get open, and then people from the public can come in here, even if they pay $5 to walk through the place. It's
Yeah.
awesome. I mean, there's so much history in here.
Or just put what you feel you can in the collection box at the front.
Yeah.
And it's again, for those younger guys that are coming into the fire service, I remember the first time. I've been through this place a million times as a kid.
Right.
We used to have the book fairs here when I was a kid.
Cool.
At one point in time, I think it was before my time, it was at the library.
Okay.
This is where that stuff was.
That's really fun.
I do remember coming through here, as a member of the fire department, and seeing it with a new set of eyes.
Right.
And it's the more things change, the more they stay the same. Hydraulics are hydraulics, whether it's a steam, a hand pump, or
Right.
a brand new rig parked on the apparatus floor. Water puts out fires, and
Right.
it's
There's
It's
so much
where we're
history
at.
here. I mean, it's just like that piece there that's off camera, but
Yep.
that was the original call box
It
system,
was,
right?
yeah, that was the control box in the firehouse for the telegraph, the pull boxes, the box alarms.
Yeah, it's just so neat. You really can get lost in here looking at all the different types of equipment, and just the pulled hand carts are so cool.
Yeah.
And they're all over the place here.
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to bring, there's so many fire companies out there that have fire explorers.
Yep.
They should be coming here for a class trip.
Yep.
I mean, this is a good opportunity for people to learn about our history.
Yeah.
And it's cool that they were able to get preserved here.
It is, and it's it's on thin ice, really, because and that's just a little plug for how cold it is in here.
I don't think you realize how cold it is here. I mean, we're gonna have the flu after this episode, but it was worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
So what can we do? What can people do right now to get this place going again?
Well, donations are, money is it, right?
Right.
So you can mail us. We'll have a link up for.
Yep, I'll put a link on
with the address and just heighten awareness of that it's here. So
Right.
if anybody's in the area, hit me up on email or something. I'll come unlock the door and you can take a peek around.
That's great.
Spread the word.
Yeah,
we
that's
want to
great.
preserve it. We want to preserve it. We'd love to keep this collection here in North Plainfield.
Yeah.
It's not going to just be destroyed. If something goes the other way, this stuff is going to have to be distributed somehow, and then we'll lose track of it. And
That'd be a shame to see
I think
that
it's
happen.
avoidable.
Yeah.
I think we can. I believe that with a little bit of momentum, I really think we can pick it up and
Well, I'm going
keep
to certainly try to push this and do what we can to get this out and make sure that the guys that put this together, that put their heart and their soul into this, that doesn't die, right?
Yep.
Because although those guys have passed on, we can't let this pass on.
No.
This has to live forever. Just like their memory, this has to continue to live on. And it's so important, and I absolutely can't thank you enough for having our show here, because this is cool.
Yeah.
This is probably going to be my best backdrop ever, because it's so neat.
Yeah, you can come back and do any podcast you want here.
Oh, that's
We'll
great.
set it all up.
Well, when you get to heat set up, I'll come back.
come back in the summer, you'll be asking for the fan to work.
Yeah, exactly. Then put the fan on. So I know they're going to get a different angle from the show.
Yeah.
But this steam card, right? This is
Yeah.
steam. Tell me
The
about this
steamer.
piece.
Yeah, the steamer. It's got a plaque on it from the mid 1800s.
Wow.
That was purchased by the Board of Fire Commissioners in Plainfield for the Plainfield Fire Division.
That's so cool.
And
1920s.
18 something.
18 something.
I believe
Oh,
so.
wow.
Yeah. So from what I understand, some of the research that was done on it was originally in Stamford, Connecticut,
Cool.
and how it got from there to Plainfield, I really don't know the history.
Right.
Unfortunately, there was the member of the Exempt Association that put the museum together. I mean, the equipment that's here has been here.
Okay.
But most of it was stored in here like a garage, and the membership, when they had a lot of members, would take it on parade. The silver hose carriage at the front, which you'll see in the
Yes.
other pictures.
Yeah, we took some video of that.
And the hand pump,
Right.
they would be pulled by hand on parade. They would trailer that stuff to wherever the parade was, and they would pull that stuff by hand. The steam engine, they would contract with like a local farm, get some horses and rig it with the harnesses.
Oh, cool.
And would pull with horses.
Oh, that's fun.
So, but the guy that changed the layout here, made it from a garage to a museum.
Okay.
We lost him a number of years ago, and with him a lot of that knowledge went.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's all documented in this building somewhere. It's a matter of going through the files and finding everything and really putting together. And we have the talent. I mean, we have people with those skills that are willing to go through that stuff, and it's just got to make it happen.
Yeah, we have to push to make that happen. And like you said, Cap, trying to get those younger guys here to get involved.
Yep.
It's so important.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about those guys here that probably have a year on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Get them involved.
Yeah.
Get them down here.
Yeah. And we do. There's the guys we do have some guys that have some interest, and you look at it, it's like a big thing. It's like, where do you start?
Yeah.
So
it's a big undertaking. I agree.
Yeah. So you just cover that, clear that hurdle, figure out where to start. And right now we're started with trying to stabilize the building and preserve what's already here.
That's cool.
And then move on with bigger and better things.
That's good. You got to make sure you definitely keep me posted on this, because I'd love to come back and do another show just on this building when it gets up and running.
Yeah, sure.
I can't wait to see that happen. I really have a feeling it's going to take off, and I'm really hoping there's people watching right now that see this and see the value in this, and will do the right thing and help out.
Cool.
That'll be good. So, Cap, the reason I brought you on the show is you're part of a pretty important foundation, right?
Yeah. The St. Baldrick Foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, why don't you tell us what that's about?
Well, the St. Baldrick's Foundation, the mission is to conquer kids' cancer, raise awareness and funds to conquer kids' cancers.
How'd you get involved in that?
Wow. So, back in 2004, Rick Connolly, who's a captain in North Plainfield at the time, we were firefighters at the same time, and it was a apparatus floor thing at Relief. We were working 10s and 14s, right? So you work your two 10-hour day shifts, and then a couple days off, and you work your 2 14-hour night shifts. So Relief happened, in the morning and in the evening. And it was at Relief one day, and Rick, mentioned that he had, hey, anybody of you guys be willing to shave your head and raise money for cancer research? Yeah, not only would I shave my head, I'll do it, and I'll raise more money than you. And it started as a kind of a challenge thing, and there's a few of us that were interested, and tried to find a place. We tried to find an event to go to, and couldn't find one, so we just decided to host our own. So Rick was actually, Rick brought St. Baldrick's to North Plainfield. He was the first event organizer of record, and got that ball rolling. And Rick and myself and our local president at the time, Jeff Holtz, got involved, and we got the chief said, we went to the chief and said, we don't have a place to to do it. Can we do it here, and can we do it in the Firehouse? Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was a great thing.
Who could ever say no to such an important foundation?
Yeah, and we hadn't had anything like that.
Right.
We hadn't had an event in the Firehouse like that.
Okay.
So we decided to, we went for it. We scheduled it.
So this was your professional firefighters union is the one that got involved. Okay.
Yeah. IFF Local 2958 got it going.
Cool.
So we set about recruiting some barbers to come and shave, give the haircuts and sign volunteers up. And then it was, are we just going to do us, or are we going to open it up? We opened it up, and we got, I can't remember the exact numbers, but I think we did about 23, 24 heads that year, and we raised about $20,000.
Wow.
And the beauty of the St. Baldrick's Foundation then and now is you sign up, you get your event off the ground, and everything goes directly through them.
Great.
So it's not like you have to raise money, have your own bank account, cut another check. If you were going to give me a donation, you would write a check to the St. Baldrick's Foundation.
Perfect.
You go on their website, you can sponsor me, sponsor the event, sponsor them. Doesn't matter. All the money goes to the St. Baldrick's Foundation. And it wasn't too tough to do.
Right.
It was. I mean,
especially if they're doing everything, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're giving you all the tools.
Okay.
And a big part of their success is they're volunteer driven. So their administrative overhead was really, really low. So 2004, they told us, those of us that were doing the events, like 80 cents of every dollar is going towards finding a cure.
Awesome.
And it was great. We had a great time. It was a great.
Yeah,
it was
fun.
a great event.
It's good morale, a morale thing for the company too.
Yeah, we had a good time. We had a really good time. And then it was, there was some current concern like, can we repeat? Can we do it again?
Right.
Will we find the same success? All those things. We don't want to fall flat on our face our second year out.
Right.
We had a good time the first time, and it was so good. We got so much good feedback. I mean, people. Elected officials from town, people from other groups in town were coming into the Firehouse for the first time. So now our department is benefiting from the public relations aspect of having this, and it had nothing to do with us other than our participation. We weren't raising money for ourselves. We weren't trying to promote.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was
fantastic.
It was just.
Yep.
It was so
rewarding.
Everything just fit, and you were bald. I mean, it was cool, and that's the other. That was kind of that was the buy-in for me.
Okay. Was
when I figured out, you figure, shaving your head bald for cancer research, that kind of makes sense, right? But what it was about was the sign of solidarity with the kids that lose their hair because of the cancer treatment, who feel different than their friends, who feel different than the crowd, that feel like everybody's looking at me. I'm going to shave my head too. Now they can look at me.
That's cool.
And that's
really cool.
That was that really kind of pulled me in.
Right.
When I was in high school, my mother had cancer. My mother had breast cancer when we were in high school, and I remember her going through that. I remember her, going through the chemo, going through radiation, losing her hair, investing in the wigs, and it was tough. It was tough for her,
Right.
And as a kid, we knew what was going on. We're supportive, but what else could you, as a kid, what else could you do, And my mom kicked its ass. My mom, beat it at the time,
I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, it was awesome, and
God bless her. That was great.
Yeah, sure.
That's great.
Right. So that was easy. That was an easy thing. I can do this. I can raise some money. I can get my hair cut.
Right.
It's all good, So the next year came around, and I'm a little impatient sometimes, so I went ahead.
That's my problem.
I went ahead and registered the event. So our event is St. Baldrick's, kind of ties into St. Patrick's, so figure sometime around March, So I jumped in like in December or January. I jumped in. I said, we registered our event, got it going, And I got a phone call from this guy, and he's asking me questions. He's like, so why did you, do this? And I would love to meet you. I'd love to, have coffee with you. And I was like, okay, whatever, And his name was Enda McDonald, and Enda McDonald was one of the 3 guys that founded the St. Baldrick's Foundation.
No kidding.
Yeah. And he had an office in Westfield, so he invited me for coffee one day. And that's what he said. He goes, why are you doing your event? He just wanted to know what the catch was.
Same question I have.
So, and I'm kind of like, starstruck. I was like, this guy just started a foundation, and he's taking the time to talk to me. And not only is he taking the time to talk to me, but he's actually asking me questions, and he actually cares about what my answers are and why this works for us, And so I had some answers, questions for him too. And I said, why did you, get involved in this? So he's very successful business guy, and he had some very successful friends who were business guys, and they just challenged one guy challenged the other 2 and said, what are you going to do? Life's been good to you. You've done well in business. What are you going to do to give back? So they decided to do this.
And what a noble thing to do.
And what really impressed me was, why childhood cancer? Because cancer is bad no matter who you are or how you get it. But kids don't elect to have a lifestyle that, predisposes them to cancers. It's not through a choice. And not to say that people get cancer because of choices they make, but kids are just at that level of innocence.
Correct.
So put that together with the sign of solidarity, and who's better at solidarity than public servants, right?
Especially firefighter.
Yeah, and it was just I just took it on, and it's been great. And I've had a tremendous amount of support from the fire department, from the firefighters, and it's grown. I mean, it's just, I stand back and I don't know what I did right, but it's extremely rewarding. It's a great event, and I can't say enough about it. So now it's, our first year, we raised the money, we gave it to St. Baldrick. St. Baldrick's funded, I think at the time it was Cure Search.
Okay.
And now they're their own foundation. They raised the money. They have their own clinical review of applications. So it's not enough for them to raise the money and give it to cancer research. They want to give it to meaningful science. So you could write a grant application for cancer research, and if it's not meaningful, if it doesn't have potential to really make an impact, it may not get funded.
So it's 100% buy-in.
Yeah, it's easy.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and it's led to so many amazing opportunities. I can't even I've been on the Steve Wilkos show, which is like one of those middle of the day kind of reality panel shows, and where else is a guy from North Plainfield going to wind up doing something like that?
That's great. Yeah.
So what I am to the foundation is what they call a VEO, a volunteer event organizer.
Okay.
And that role in the foundation has grown to just a huge network of people like myself who do these events, and there's no standard model for these events.
So this is something very, very passionate to you.
Yeah.
This isn't just something you're doing. This is much more.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's become like some people only know me because of St. Baldrick's. It's I've met people, I've established relationships, I've built friendships with people only through the St. Baldrick's event.
Wow.
Not just the foundation, but our event.
What has it done for your company?
For the fire department?
Yeah.
Well, it's certainly recognition. People here in North Plainfield, some people just associate it with the St. Baldrick's event. With our neighbors, South Plainfield has come over and participated in big numbers. Edison, Woodbridge. So some of those local fire departments that aren't our immediate neighbors come to our house, come to our place and participate with us. And it's just like a networking thing,
Right. That's great
So-
to see that amount of support.
Yeah,
You know?
and in the community itself, it's really, again, it was really kind of the first time in a long time that our doors were just open to the public for something not related to the fire department.
Right.
So it was a little bit of an identity, maybe a paradigm shift for the community, how they viewed us.
Yeah, and how important is that?
Yeah.
It was, now more than ever.
Yeah,
Right?
but it certainly
We need
wasn't.
allies.
Certainly wasn't the motivation.
Right.
A side benefit to the whole event. So
how much time does this take to organize?
So we register our event like right around Thanksgiving.
No kidding.
And we start putting it together from there. And right up until maybe the first week in March, it's all about recruiting, trying to bring people in that are willing to shave their heads.
On average, how many people do you show up to your event?
Show up.
Yeah.
We usually open the doors and wind up with about 200 people.
Wow.
And maybe 70, 80 to shave their heads.
So do some people come and just give money because they don't want their head shaved?
Yeah. Some people just come and we welcome that. We have a silent auction. Some people just come or support other people.
That's great.
Everybody at the event is volunteering for the event. We have an MC that's been with us for like eight or 9 years.
Cool.
That he comes out, sets up all his equipment.
And all the barbers, they
All the
volunteer
barbers
their
are
time?
volunteer.
Are they barbers from local establishments or?
Some are.
Okay.
Some are local. I have a barber. She's been with us, I think, 8 years now. She comes up from Howell. She found the event on the web, wanted to do something, wanted to get involved. And
Very cool.
She comes up. Some worked here in town, have since moved on to other careers, but maintain their license, and they come out. To be a barber, you have to be licensed, right?
Right.
So that they come out and do that. I have one girl that her sister was a childhood cancer survivor. She comes out every year.
I figured that, there's got to be some of that, right? I mean,
there's so much of it. It's amazing.
Now you have these photos here. Tell me about these photos.
Well, the smaller one is that's our host plaque. So every year we'll get a plaque like that from St. Baldrick's, recognizing the venue.
Okay.
So we have one of those for every year.
Great.
Every year we've done it. And the other one is he's just St. Baldrick's will identify 1 or 2, maybe 3 kids a year as an ambassador. He was our ambassador a number of years ago, and they sent those framed pictures out to the VEOs, the event organizers, and the back of it is all signed by the people that work in the office.
That's really cool.
Yeah, at the foundation. It's just amazing. It's an amazing group, and it just seems to, every time I turn around now, it's like you run into it. We were in Las Vegas a few years ago, and we were at an event in a little pub, and you walk past the hostess stand, and there's one of these host plaques hanging on the wall. So I was like, oh, you guys have a St. Baldrick's event? I goes, oh yeah, the owner's like really big on it. You know about St. Baldrick's? So yeah, so I do an event in North Plainfield. Oh, you got to meet the owner. It was a place,
in Vegas.
Yeah, like family. The guy's like, you have that connection.
That's great.
I did a VEO conference in New York a few years ago, and I was actually the MC. I was actually the host, and there were a couple of guys in the audience. There were firemen in Pennsylvania, in Harrisburg, and sure enough, I wound up in Harrisburg for a hockey tournament with my son, and
that's great. Yeah.
There's the venue host pot hanging in the restaurant we were in, and then,
no kidding.
Yeah, it's just it's that cool. And then just this past summer, I was out. Same time I was in Las Vegas. We were there for an international convention.
Okay.
And you have your opportunity to speak at a microphone on the floor. So point of personal privilege, and I wanted to thank all the first responders that are intended to, who's locals,
right,
do these St. Baldrick's events, and it's a great thing, and really appreciate it. And the support of the first responders is huge.
Yeah.
That's it. That's cool. So last year we were in Seattle, and I'm walking through the vendor spaces.
Okay.
And St. Baldrick's has a booth there.
No kidding.
And it's not only do they have a booth there, but I stop, and the girl working at the table, talking to firefighters as I was walking by, was my event coach from like 3 years ago.
That's great. It's such a small world.
It's a big small world.
Yep.
And the fact that it's St. Baldrick's isn't exclusive to cops and firemen. It started in the business world.
Right.
But cops and firemen get involved in St. Baldrick's, and once we hang on to something,
Oh, yeah.
we take it as
Absolutely.
far as we can,
Absolutely.
and there's no stop.
Yep.
So that's like, that's a point of personal pride, is that, Rick Conley brought this to the fire department for us. It's not mine. I didn't do this. And I don't do it every year by myself. I have a team. Everybody gets involved. Everybody brings something to the table. It brings us all,
Together.
yeah,
it's great.
it's that, common interest, like-minded people, similar core values, and look what we're doing. I mean,
Yeah,
it's crazy. So I did some numbers. I did some research this morning, and it's
Cool.
$1.1 million since we started.
Holy cow.
And then this year will be our 16th event, and
Wow.
yeah, I mean
Those are the numbers that North Plainfield's done?
that's North Plainfield's events. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really amazing.
Yeah, we've had some great years, and we've had some really great years. We've never had a bad year.
Wow. What was your best year?
Best year was 2013. It was $118,836
Wow. In one sitting.
in 1 year. Yeah.
Wow.
Now, every year something else happens, like something that's out of my control and certainly outside of my influence. I have one Shavee that might raise $25,000 all by himself.
That's unbelievable.
And it's just amazing. You just sit back and you scratch your head.
It's such a great cause.
Yeah, 1 year we had Molly Ringwald came and shaved her boyfriend's head, took a couple swipes at it, and it was just one of the guys who signed up to be a Shavee.
Okay.
Had a relationship with somebody who was a barber in the city who cut this guy's hair, who was involved.
That's so funny.
Whatever the relationship was,
Yeah.
and she came to North Plainfield. She showed up at our event, and it wasn't about her. She didn't want it to be about her. She was just there, and it was awesome.
That's good. That's really good to hear.
Oh, it's fantastic, man. It just every year is just something. It's just something happens.
It's great. It's great that you're part of something so important, and those numbers are. I'm actually blown away by that.
I couldn't do it.
They must be so happy that you're part of this.
It's all about opportunity, and if I wasn't involved with the fire department, if I didn't have a chief who had an administration to let us use the firehouse,
Right.
if it wasn't presented by one of my coworkers as an idea,
Yeah. All these links in a chain.
These are just opportunities.
Absolutely.
And you could turn your nose up at it, or you could roll your eyes, or you could walk away from it, and then it's 16 years of potential that I would have walked away from. And again, I don't know what made me pay attention to it. I don't know what clicked.
Right.
But
so obviously something clicked. I mean,
thrilled, man. It was great.
And now you're part of something so important.
Yeah.
The research for children's cancer. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
What could be better than that?
Nothing.
Yeah. It's amazing. Have you had an opportunity to meet any of the kids?
Yeah, we've had an opportunity to have a few VIPs that kids come to our event, various ages, various stages too.
Right.
Some are still battling.
Okay.
Some come to our event after they've already beat it.
How's that feel? Explain that to me.
It's mixed emotions. You don't know what to say.
Right.
You're there as a sign of solidarity, so that they don't feel like they're different.
Right.
But then you put them on a pedestal and you're cheering for them, and they feel different. Some of them are heartbreaking. And some of them are just awe-inspiring. And not only the kids themselves are just amazing.
Yeah.
Right. Their parents are amazing. The families, their support systems, their communities. These kids come to us with, a whole town behind them.
That's
sometimes
that must be emotional at times, right?
Yeah, it's tough. It's not tough. It's amazing. It's awesome. But it's also a lot of responsibility. You want to do the right things by them.
Right.
You want to make sure they're comfortable. You want to make sure they're recognized. You want to make sure you're not putting them in a bad spot or exploiting their situation either for anything. So we've had some, just some amazing experiences. Cool. Looking back, thinking back on it. it's one of my favorites is, if you don't mind, is
No, of course. Yeah.
2000. We were getting ready for our 2007 event, and I had a bad experience the year before with not a terrible experience, but when you have a participant that's underage, the parent has to sign off on a release, and just kind of caught off guard the day of the event, trying to collect those things. So, next year I'm going to be proactive. I'm going to check the registrations on a regular basis and keep an eye on the ages. So I sign on and I'm looking, and I noticed that there was a 14-year-old on the list.
Okay.
I'm like, all right, that's cool. And I looked at the name, and it was like, it's a 14-year-old girl that's on the list. And
Okay.
we get girls who are willing to come and make the sign of solidarity
Right.
on a regular basis, but 14 kind of, it's like, all right, no.
And she wanted to shave her head.
She wanted to shave her head.
Okay.
So I called, I called the phone number, and she answers the phone. So I introduced myself, and I said, hey, would you mind, can I speak with one of your parents? And she goes, oh, yeah, of course, no problem. So this pleasant woman gets on the phone, and I introduced myself again. I explained why I was calling. I said, I just want to make sure. I said,
make sure you understand.
I said, your daughter is more than welcome to come to our event and participate in our event. I just want to make sure you understand what she signed up for.
Yeah. She's going to be bald when she comes home.
what she signed up to do. And she says, well, she goes, I really do appreciate your phone call. I said, but she says, you should know that she was diagnosed 5 years ago, and in the course of treatment, lost and regrew her hair 4 times.
Wow.
And has a full head of hair. She's got good scans. Everything is good. And she wants to do this.
Wow.
It's important to her.
That's awesome, man.
So, I'm starting to get a little emotional now. I was like,
how can you not?
I didn't know what to say. Just unbelievable. And so Meg was like a highlight of my St. Baldrick's career,
That's awesome,
and
man.
she
Good
was
for you, Cap.
fantastic,
Good for
and,
you.
And then we have who's always going to be one of our honored children is Campbell Hoyt, who is my daughter's age, and her dad was a volunteer in Bernardsville.
Okay.
Came to our event through networking with one of our career guys who knew him, knew what we were doing. So he would come, and Campbell would come, and we lost Campbell a couple of years ago, and her dad still goes on. He's got the Campbell Foundation, Team Campbell, and he's all about supporting families that are going through the same thing and giving that emotional support to these families that are, it's a journey, it's tough, and where he finds his motivation and his drive is, I don't know where. He's just an unbelievable guy. I've called him a number of times to come and speak, to different groups,
right?
And he just presents it straight up, nothing held back in his personal experience and everything. And it's inspiring. You're sitting there and you're just hoping that someday, if you ever had to endure this, you could do it with the same class and motivation, and you just hope.
You hope.
Yeah.
But we're both parents.
Yeah.
And our kids are the same age.
Yeah.
So listening to that last story was a little difficult.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even imagine being in that situation. And honestly, I don't. Where do you find the drive? Where do you find the hope? It's tough.
It's like I said, you again, it's about opportunities. I never would have met Meg. I never would have met Greg or Cam, if not for this.
Yeah, this is huge, man. This is so important. What you're doing, I can't even put into words how important it is what you're doing. I just can't, because being in the fire service is so amazing, and the opportunities that you get from it. This is just one of those opportunities. You're doing good by people just being a firefighter, and on the top of this now, you're doing this, and the people you're affecting, these families. They're gonna take that with them forever. And cancer research, again, I can you think of anything more noble?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but you hear horror stories and you get involved. You hear horror stories about nonprofits, and you hear horror stories about fundraising and where the money goes. Does it really go? And I couldn't do this. I wouldn't do this if it wasn't, vetted out. If it wasn't what they say it was.
Absolutely.
So
people have to be careful. I mean, there's some shady peoples out there that want to do just this, take money from people, and it's going in someone's pocket instead of where it should be going. So you're absolutely right.
So for the foundation to still operate the same way, where everything goes to them, and then I don't remember how many years ago it was, but I remember getting a phone call from the foundation, apologizing to the event organizers that they couldn't grant all the money they raised. They couldn't gift all the money that they had raised because they didn't. They had grant applications that just didn't pass the scientific screening, and it was a big ordeal for them to go through the channels to do it right, to say that we collected this money, we're not giving it away, and this is why we're not giving it away, and it eventually was granted like the following year, but it's like, wow, that's just, like, you didn't owe me an explanation for that, and I'm getting a phone call. I'm not getting an email.
Right.
I'm not getting
a phone call.
I'm not getting something in the annual report. I'm getting
a phone call.
I'm getting a phone call.
That makes it personal.
Yeah.
And that's all part of that buy-in, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're as you're reading to me your figures and your numbers, and you tell me those stories, I'm looking at the back of this photograph.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm reading some of the things that are on here. And
personal. I mean, those are.
Yeah, and I told you a couple seconds ago that it's hard not to listen to this stuff and not get emotional. But the reason I think I is because I'm reading the back of this, and it's pretty cool stuff, man. I mean, the one here, Rob, our New Jersey hero. I mean, that's what you're doing is important, brother. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I just I know you know this already, but I think it's important for everyone else watching to know that there's other things we could be doing in the fire service to help others, and we are only as good as we are because we help others and because we're doing more important things, and this is certainly one of those things. I mean, has this changed your life in any way?
Yeah, for sure. It's perspective. I'm, from early on, I would always say, I can do this. I have the time to do this because I have two healthy kids.
Right.
And because that sometimes, especially if you're talking to somebody who doesn't know you,
right?
Well, why are you doing this? Do you have somebody in your life that's sick?
Honestly, I thought that.
Yeah.
Because I thought maybe there was someone in your family that, had a child that had cancer, and that's why you're doing this.
No, I'm fortunate. Thank God. My kids are healthy.
Right.
But again, my origins are what they are. But the more you learn about it, and the funding for childhood cancer research, there's crossover. There's more now than there was then, but there wasn't so much oncology research and treatment research and clinical trials towards pediatric cancers, right? So these kids were subjected to adult cancer treatments because that's what they knew. That's what they had, But then we're finding out now that there's crossover from pediatrics to adult cancers, and some successes that we're having in the pediatric side is crossing over and affecting how adult cancers are treated. And as a firefighter, I mean, if you don't know that we're predisposed 100 times more than the general population to certain cancers.
Yeah.
So this is an investment in my future potentially, or yours, or the guys that we work with.
Right.
It's good. It's good stuff.
Well, Cap, I'm telling you this. I'm truly honored to have met you.
Oh,
I mean it, and I think that what you're doing is so important. I'm sure that the guys in your house. As a matter of fact, the reason this came to be is because James Reedman says, "Hey, bro, I appreciate so much you having me on your show. It was an honor to be on there, but I'm telling you, the guy you should be talking to."
Yeah.
And
it's I appreciate that a lot, and it's awesome that it's still going. It's a testament to the commitment of the fire department. You know,
Absolutely.
the guys in the firehouse that are willing to keep doing this with me.
Yeah.
You know,
It sounds like you have a pretty good support staff.
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
You love those guys.
Like family.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
and it and that's what it really is it's family.
It is.
And
So when's your event?
March 13th.
Okay.
The Saturday after St. Patrick's Day.
Okay, and that's at your firehouse in North
It's
Plainfield.
in our firehouse in North Plainfield.
Okay, and they come and then get buzzed or not get buzzed. And then you said there's an auction too.
There's a silent auction.
Okay,
You know, got some great stuff donated.
Awesome.
Some awesome things that are donated.
and I'll definitely be sure to put that in the link.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know, so that you know when to come to your event. Hopefully, we'll see more people come to your event this year.
Yeah. There's you know, the link that we're going to have on the website. You know, you can sign up, you can register online to be
Okay.
a Shavee.
Oh,
You
good.
can start your own team. You can be a volunteer event staff.
Okay.
Help us out, spread the word. If you know any barbers, we could use a couple more barbers this
Okay.
year.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. So
Uh,
if you're watching this and you're either a firefighter / barber or someone in your family has hair cutting abilities, this is an opportunity for them to do that,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
All right, great. So, Cap, it wouldn't be fair for me to let you off the hook without at least sharing an experience that you have, something that stuck with you throughout your career, and anything that you can offer on to our guests. You know what our platform's about and
Yeah.
how we can help others.
Well, I really appreciate that, and the platform is amazing.
Thank
I mean,
you.
it's just something that's it's always been there, that hasn't been talked about, and it's always going to be there.
That elephant in the room.
Yeah, but I think, you know, putting some light on it is a good thing, and I did give some thought to, you know, having potentially answer this question, and it's tough. It's a tough one to nail anything down, you know.
Right.
And you know, the PTS is what do they say? It's a normal reaction in a normal person to an abnormal situation.
Right.
And outside of the first responders and military, you know, they say maybe once or twice in a lifetime, right? You're going to be exposed to that.
Right.
And that's not the case for us. You
No.
know, it's cumulative. It adds up. You know, these things, they leave a mark, right? So yeah, thinking back on I can't put my finger on just any one thing, but I've had my share, you know. So
What advice would you give a new firefighter that's coming into this job, and you know that guy or girl is like they're putting their gear on, they're getting on the apparatus, they're going to the calls, and then they're going to face that situation? What do you tell them?
don't swallow it. You know, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to say, you know, kind of messed me up. That one wasn't right, or is this, you know, ask around. You know, we're all in this together. We're all in this together, right? You're on the rig together. You're in the department together. You're on that scene together. It's going to affect everybody differently, and it's okay to not be okay with whatever it is.
Exactly.
You're going to get the job done. You're going to do a good job, and you know, it's okay to say, man, that was a bad one, or you know, and it's also okay to not be affected by something. You know,
Yeah, and
if everybody around you is falling apart and you're not, that's okay too. And
Yeah.
you can just be that source of support, that source of strength for somebody who is having a tough time. You know.
And there's always going to be, obviously, at the time of the call, that's the time to keep it together, right? You got to do what you got to do to drive forward and get the job done and do what we're supposed to do. You go to work, but when you get back and everyone's quiet, you know, when you're on your way back to the firehouse and there's no one saying anything, that's a problem,
Yeah.
right? And then when you get back to the house, I mean, you have the kitchen table, right? The most important thing in the firehouse, in my opinion, is the kitchen
everything is
table.
solved at the kitchen table. Yeah.
Everything is,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that's the time you go back, you sit there and you go, all right, let's talk about what just happened. All right, how's everybody feeling? And then that's when everybody can kind of talk about it, right?
Yeah.
But there are some individuals I feel that they can't talk to somebody, or they feel like they're going to be an outcast if they can't handle it, or, you know, and I do that in air quotes because that's the stigma before that, you know, if you can't handle it, you shouldn't be doing this job, you know, you're not cut out for it. That's all bullshit, and you know it. We both
Yeah.
know it, right?
Yeah.
But you look at these numbers, and the firefighters that are committing suicide, it's the numbers are not, they're mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Okay, we're doubling the amount of suicides versus our line of duty deaths.
Yeah.
Sometimes tripling, and that there's no way, man, that can happen. We have to do something to change that. So your advice is to talk about it.
Absolutely.
Good.
And to be open to it.
Right.
And not only open to talking yourself, we need to be open to other people that want to talk. Yeah, you can't just turn it off because it's uncomfortable. You can't just turn somebody off because you don't want to hear it or deal with it.
Yeah.
If you don't want to, or if you just don't feel it's in your capacity, do the right thing and steer that guy to somebody that will listen, or girl, to someone that's, equipped,
Yeah.
And it comes down to, it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be clinical. It doesn't have to be doctor. It doesn't have to be somebody from outside of our culture.
Absolutely.
The peer support is, it's important. I mean, that's what's.
And I'm glad you said that, because
we're all about,
Cap, I'm glad you said that, because there are individuals that have watched the show and they go, oh, well, what we're saying, to go see counselors and we gotta have stress debriefs every single time I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you gotta talk to each other, right, and establish a dialogue, because sometimes it just might be that just us talking like this, you walk away with a different perspective.
Yeah.
And you feel better about the situation. Yeah. And you're not at the clinical level.
Yep. And it doesn't have to be a job. It doesn't have to be an incident.
It could be something at home.
Yeah. So,
right.
You got to know your people.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
And the people you work with. And it's the guy that's always got the joke that's all of a sudden sitting not talking to anybody.
Exactly.
Or the guy that is always always sitting in a corner quiet.
Right.
All of a sudden he's
right.
yelling at everybody.
Yep.
Hey, have the guts to say, you all right? You okay? You need anything?
Right.
Everything okay?
Right.
And you don't know what's going to change, asking that question, maybe the life vest that he was desperately seeking for.
Right. Because it's all there. It's just a matter of when we're going to pull it out of someone, but it's there.
Yeah. So if me asking you the question, pisses you off and you're going to be mad at me,
right?
But it brought you back into reality and stopped you from doing something to yourself that's going to be bad.
Do you really care?
I'd rather you be pissed off at me for 30 years than me wondering what I could have done.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, Cap,
I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. I'm so happy you came on.
Happy to be here. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is
important stuff, and
this is what this is all about. It's about meeting individuals that have something to say and individuals that are doing for others, and that's what I believe you're doing, and I commend you for your actions.
Appreciate it.
Cap, thanks so much for coming.
Here's you got some decals for your
nice.
your cooler and your laptop there.
Yeah, look at that. So I got my cool green. Now this is an awesome thing to do, and anybody knows that I have this. So here it is. So I have room. I'm gonna add on there. So I have so many cool people that we partnered with, and all their decals are on here. So I'm just gonna add that right to that.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
And a T-shirt for you too, buddy.
And I have something for you as well, which is in my bag over there, and that is the PintheQ patch.
Cool, man. Thank you.
And then check that out. So I got some cool T-shirts with the. Oh, that's pretty cool. It's got a clippers on there.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah, we have one of the guys in the Firehouse, Chris Picola. He's always messing around with different designs and logos, and he's our T-shirt guy.
Oh, you got a T-shirt guy.
Yeah. So I put him on it, and I said make it look cool. I don't care, too much about what it looks like and what it has to say, and just make it look cool.
No, he killed it.
He doesn't. Awesome. He does not disappoint.
Look at that. So it's always good to have someone in the Firehouse that knows what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
There's always somebody. Like there's the plumbing guy, the T-shirt guy.
You put your best team on the field, and he's strong on it. I'm not, so it doesn't have to be a control freak thing, man. Just take it and run,
He did a great job. So listen, there's a lot of people that wanted to thank you for coming on the show, and one of those people is Knox and Company.
Okay.
They sponsored this episode, which is episode 12. Great group of individuals. What they do is, when disaster happens, right? It's not fair, but what should be fair is the settlement you deserve. So we thank them for coming on and sponsoring this episode. When they heard what it was about, Of course, they're like, yeah, we definitely want to be part of that. So
Awesome.
Knox and company, they sponsored your episode. Also, I'd just like to say real quick, when I do these shows, there's so many people that have called and sent messages and just wanted to be a part of this. And one of those people is a great organization called Next Rung.
Next Rung, okay.
Yep, Next Rung. And what they're doing is they're offering resources for PTSD awareness. And what they do is they reach out to families. God forbid there's a suicide, firefighter commits suicide. They'll reach out to their family and offer support and services and financial aid and that type of thing. So again, there's great people out there trying to do good for the fire service. And
that's what it's going to take. It's going to take a lot of support from a lot of different angles to really put a dent in it.
Absolutely. So we're fortunate to have those type of partnerships. But I appreciate it very much, Cap. Thanks again for your time and bringing us into this cool place.
Thank you.
I'm hoping this thrives and does well.
I hope to have you back when the heat's on.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. My lips will be the right color instead of blue. All right, here we are. This is episode 12 in North Plainfield, New Jersey. Excited to do this one. I can't wait to get all the editing done so we can give you all the links for the foundation and when the next event's going to be, which is coming up right around the corner, March. We're right down the road from that.
Yep, we're right there.
And then this is the captain's coat right behind us.
I think I got to change. I got to correct the date.
We'll fix it. Don't hold him to the date. It's freezing in here. He probably forgot. Half his brain's working right now.
23rd.
Half my brain's working.
I think it's the 23rd. It's this. Check your calendar. It's the Saturday after St. Patrick's Day. It's in 8 Lincoln Place, North Plainfield.
All right, so that's when we'll put it on there. All right, thanks again for coming. Episode 12. Episode 13's come at you. Wait to see who that's going to be. My lips aren't working anymore. His lips aren't working anymore. We're freezing.
We got to get out of here.
It's time to go. All right, thank you. God bless. Take care, and make sure you look out for each other.
Thank you.